Alright, before I even read the question, I'm on question 10 of a sample test that only has 10 questions, and I generally expect the questions, just like on a real SAT, to get harder as I go along. So now that I'm on the last one, I expect this probably to be harder than the ones that I've looked at so far. So I'm just fortunately, feeling that none of the problems that I did so far were, I didn't get stuck on them, so I don't feel like there's anything I have to go back to. So I have my remaining time that I would have used if I'd been doing these problems in real time to devote to this presumably hardest question. So bracing for whatever it may be, I start reading. Paint needs to be thinned to a ratio of 2 parts paint to 1.5 parts water. I kind of actually want to start 2 parts paint, using PT for paint, even though that could be confused with part, but 1.5 parts water. I want to get that written out in an expression, kind of like the last problem 9 I just did with the units on the bottling machine. The painter has, by mistake, oopsie boopsie, added water so that he has 6 liters of paint, which is half water and half paint. What must he add to make the proportions of the mixture correct? Okay, I'm thinking there's probably a couple ways I could do this. One more algebraically and maybe one more just straightforward arithmetic. If he has 6 liters of water paint mixture, that means he's got 3 liters of water and 3 liters of paint. If he wants that to have the right proportionality, then for every, what must he add to make the, he could either add water or add paint. Well, let's see. He's got them mixed at the same ratio right now. He really wants more paint than water. So he really should be adding just paint. And I'm quite certain that this answer is not going to do any good. You can't just add water. I think he should be adding just paint. Although, I guess he could add some water and some paint, as long as he adds more. It needs to get more painty, because the proportion should be more painty, but at the moment it's half and half. So he needs to add more paint than he does water. Half a liter of paint and 1 liter of water won't do the trick. He needs more water than paint. What must he add to make the proportions of the mixture correct? Is there really only one? The way the question is asked, it sounds like there's only one way to do it. And I'm not sure that that's the case, but let's see. Let's keep thinking about this and see how things go as we go along. Let's say that he was going to keep his water, because he really needs more paint. So let's say he was just going to leave the water as it is. 3 liters of water is, if these units up here were liters, he's got 2 of those. He really needs 4 liters of paint. Add 1 more, boom, right there. That worked out nicely to think about it that way. I think I've got an answer there of A. If he adds 1 liter of paint, this plus 1 liter of paint will give him 3 liters of water and 4 liters of paint, which is the right ratio, I think. This is 4 parts paint for every 3 parts water. That's the exact same ratio as what we were given. And that's the ratio that we've got here. So really, I think that's a good answer. The only thing I'd want to do is check these other two possibilities, because I don't believe, well look, if he keeps the water amount fixed, he's definitely got to add 1 liter of paint. That's the only way to go. So that's not going to work. Now, we already decided this wasn't going to work and this wasn't going to work. But what about, well, okay, I mean this isn't going to work, because if he adds 1 liter of paint, he's got 4 liters of paint, which means by the correct ratio, if he's got 4 liters of paint, he needs 3 liters of water, which he already has, so he can't add any more water. So this isn't going to work. So indeed, by eliminating all these other things that won't work, adding 1 liter of paint is the only one of these given multiple choice possibilities. A is the only one that's going to work. But I still don't feel comfortable about the way that the question was worded. What must he add to make the proportions of the mixture correct? Well, of the possibilities given, 1 liter paint is the only one that will work. But I think he could do something else. He could, I mean, he could have, for every 8 parts paint, have 6 parts water. That's still the same ratio. So if he started off with 3 of both, water and paint, he could add 5 liters of water and 3 liters of water and 5 liters of paint to get to a total of 6 liters of water and 8 liters of paint, and that would be the correct ratio, because 8 over 6, 4/3, is the same as 2 over 1.5, which were the specifications, the specs given in the problem. So this isn't the only way he could, unless I gotta go back and read and there's something else that I'm missing. Paint needs to be thinned to a ratio of 2 parts water to 1.5 parts paint. The painter has by mistake added too much water. I'm putting in my own words here. He watered it down too much so that he has 6 liters of paint, which is half water and half paint, and they're being a bit ambiguous here. They're using the word paint in 2 different senses. He has 6 liters. What they mean is he has 6 liters of paint mixture, which is half water and half true pure paint, although even true pure paint is watery itself. But I think we know what they mean, even though they may not, the language may be imprecise. What must he add to make the proportion? So again, I think, yeah, I wouldn't word it that way, but I can't complain to the test writers. I know what they mean, even though I think that they were, I think they maybe should have worded it differently. So I'm convinced this is the only right answer. And we made it through the last question on this section.